All right, let's listen to this here.
You were warming up on the sideline, and Matt Canada said today that you told him you felt like you couldn't go back out and play at the level you needed to. Just what was that process after the injury and evaluating whether or not you could go back out?
Yeah, doing what I could to try and go back out there. I felt like I couldn't throw it the way I needed to throw it to help us to win. So listen to what the doctor said and go from there.
Listening to what the doctor
Listening
said.
to what the doctor said.
And
Okay.
going from there. But he also said that I was on
didn't
throwing
feel
on
like
the
I could
sideline.
throw well enough to help us win.
A curious situation, to put it mildly, no?
Especially when I asked Tomlin, and Tomlin brushed it off. They announced that he was coming back to play.
Not very clear there.
Pickett is clearly a tough guy. He didn't have to come back and play at all with that ankle injury in college, his second last year. And he came back and played. He didn't have to play. He's a tough
very
kid.
tough kid. I agree
So
with
is
that.
Deshaun Watson, though. But
Yes.
that felt like that became a big story the first time. Forget about the second time. Like, wait, this guy was cleared and wouldn't play? So what are we talking? Now, he said listening to what the doctor said. So I guess it would have been Kenny on the sidelines throwing, feeling pain in his ribs. I don't think I can go. And the doctor saying, then you shouldn't go. That's what I hear.
That's probably it.
I would imagine that would be the same as Watson. I'm feeling pain in my shoulder or my whatever it was. I don't know if I can go. Then don't go.
Tomlin said on Monday there was no structural damage that they found with the ribs. And so it might just be a pain management thing of like, hey, there's nothing structurally wrong here. It's just amount of, how much pain are you in and can you play through it?
Yes. That sure does put a lot of onus on the player in that situation, though, where it will have people questioning him if you state it that way.
Right.
Like, if he can handle the pain, he can play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Trubisky in Canada basically said it was his call. And then he said at the end, I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And then the doctors probably said, shut it down.
So how do you interpret all of that?
I think he shut it down himself. And then the doctor said, you're probably right. You got to protect yourself. Don't force it, I guess.
I agree with that. I think sounds like what happened.
Okay.
And do we fault him for that?
No.
I can't.
Not really.
Not if he feels like he can't play.
Yeah, I mean.
But then for him to come back 2 days later when he hasn't cut it loose yet and say, "Oh, I'm definitely playing," then should we believe him? I mean, come on, you can't have it both. You can't have this both ways here.
No, I mean,
Not
I don't
necessarily.
believe him.
I don't believe him. But again, that's what players say. I'm gonna play. I'm Superman. I'm gonna play. Do I believe it? Not necessarily until he practices today and can make all the throws.
I mean,
Plus
I think that would have been.
Plus to defend himself. What happens when he takes a hit to those ribs?
Right. But yeah, it's odd that Deshaun Watson didn't get the same leeway here as this guy.
Well, I think there's other factors into that too.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson
how people
probably
feel about Deshaun Watson.
Doesn't get a break.
So it's not. So then those factors are influencing their opinion of this maybe unfairly.
Probably.
Like fans, you're saying?
Anybody who takes into account other things.
His history and his contract,
yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah, that's what fans do. That's what we do
I mean,
as humans.
the contract to me makes so you should play. Like Pickett, if he was making more money, should have played the other day.
No, Joe, it's just a factor. That's all I'm saying. It's just
I'm
he's
wondering.
making all that money.
So he deserves more criticism?
He probably deserves a little more criticism.
So if Pickett was making more money, he should have played the other day.
If he felt like he could play and didn't, yes. But apparently he didn't feel like he could play.
Neither did Deshaun.
Okay, then that's fine. They moved on from him. His coach,
right, but he seemed to take a lot more heat for what he did than Kenny is for what he did. And by the way, I don't think Pickett did make the call. I mean, there's obviously going to be communication. Let's go out and throw. How are you feeling? You tell us how you feel. I feel a lot of pain when I throw. Then you're not going out there. To me, that's the doctors making the call through communication with Pickett.
You want to play it again where he said, I couldn't make the plays to help the team. He made it sound like it was his call. And then at the very end, he says, the doctors agreed or whatever. He said, play it again, Matt.
That you were warming up on the sideline, and Matt Canada said today that you told him you felt like you couldn't go back out and play at the level you needed to. Just what was that process after the injury and evaluating whether or not you could go back out?
Yeah, doing what I could to try and go back out there. I felt like I couldn't throw it the way I needed to throw it to help us to win. So listen to what the doctor said and go from there.
I think it was his call first, and then the doctors confirmed it. That's my understanding.
Yeah. No different than Deshaun,
In
is my
Canada,
understanding.
in Canada,
You
and-
go out, you throw, I'm feeling pain.
Trubisky
What do you
said the
guys
same
think?
thing.
Don't play.
Right.
It just seems like, I don't know, it just seems to be a weird difference there with how Deshaun seemingly got shredded. Unfairly, I thought. Because I think if you
Yeah.
think you're injured, especially when you have a history of toughness, which both these guys
We
do,
don't know his body like he does.
if you don't think you can go, then you shouldn't go. I mean, there's a lot of rib injuries that can be enormously painful that aren't broken ribs,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Got cartilage in there.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably, I mean, the perception of Deshaun Watson probably was unfair, and the
Well,
criticism
maybe
that he
maybe everybody was premature. Stefanski said he's cleared to play.
took. Yeah.
The Steelers announced at halftime Pickett is coming back into the game. Maybe they announced that prematurely.
Yeah.
It makes him
Who
look
knows?
bad that he doesn't.
It does.
Makes him look bad that he doesn't.
Who knows what the dynamics are there, but I don't think it's a leap to say, Kenny, you good? Yep. All right. And then when he actually throws, Deshaun, you good? Yep. Then when they actually throw before a game or before the second half, it's like, uh-oh, maybe I'm not good. All right, then you're
And they
not
shouldn't
good.
have, they shouldn't have announced he was coming
Probably
back
not.
in.
Yeah.
Because that
probably
makes
not.
him look bad.
Yeah. It does.
Because,
I
mean,
agree with that.
When he first went out and early on in halftime, because that happened right before the end of the half, they said Kenny Pickett has a rib injury. He's questionable to return. They probably should have left it right there.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the first halftime, they said, update on Kenny Pickett, he will return. And that makes him look bad.
I agree with
They
that.
probably should have just kept it questionable until he goes back into the game.
I don't see what the harm is in keeping it.
Usually
that way.
they don't update it where you go from questionable to will return. The guy just returns.
But I mean, we saw this kid his whole career at Pitt.
Yeah,
and
I
again,
can't- I
that year,
can't question
2020, he had ankle surgery
I can't question his toughness.
and had every reason to just sit out the rest of that year or more games. And he came back early from that ankle surgery and played his ass off that year. So I'm always, very careful about that, really, no matter who it is. But having gone through all that and then making a declaration, do you need clearances? No, I'm just good. I'm good. Ready to go.
Well, we'll see.
Well, we just went through this. You weren't ready
Yeah,
to go.
right.
Let's see you throw
You
first.
sure about that?
Yeah, let's see you throw first.
now, would it surprise you if he goes out today and then after practice they put him as out?
Not at all.
No.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-mm.
He basically said, all I've done is light throwing. I did what everybody else did, he said.